Okay, what's up guys? So I've been using the iPad Pro as my daily device for the past 2 weeks or so, and I definitely have some thoughts about it. If you're new here, my name is Andrew, but call me Salcedo. I am a photographer and content creator here in the Bay Area. Essentially what I focus on is tips and tricks, anything that can make my job or your job a little bit easier or our workflow a little bit faster. Today we're going to talk about why I got the iPad Pro in the first place. Also, some necessary accessories that I had to get as soon as I bought the iPad, what I like and dislike about it, and as a content creator, if this thing can replace my home computer or even my MacBook Pro. So the actual reason that I got the iPad is that I wanted to replace my MacBook Pro as a portable device. So using my MacBook Pro, I've had it I think since I got to college, and I was using it for graphic design work back then. But now I only use it for email, maybe writing notes, scripts, or anything like that. I'm responding to clients, basically just very basic office tasks. But even then, my MacBook Pro wasn't really that good because it only lasted about an hour and 30 minutes before I had to recharge it. So essentially, my portable device wasn't portable anymore because I always had to bring a big brick MagSafe charger with me everywhere I go. And the MacBook Pro is kind of heavy. You ever go bring your laptop someplace to do work and then you open it up and realize that your laptop is completely dead? That was me almost 90% of the time that I was using my MacBook Pro. And in terms of editing, MacBook Pro couldn't even edit at all. Edit any videos or photos. Essentially, I couldn't use it for any creative work. I could only use it for primarily office tasks. Now, even though this MacBook Pro is nearing the end of its life, it did get me through college, so I am very grateful that I was able to use it through that time. So I decided and I pulled the trigger to get an iPad Pro. This is the 11-inch 2018 model. It's 512 gigabytes. I think 11 inches is perfect for me. The 12.9 inch was a little bit hefty, and as a portable device that kind of would have went against what I kind of wanted to use this for. Right off the bat, some of the things that I do like is how portable this thing is. I mean, it is tiny. It's really like the size of a notepad, or it's even the size of a planner or something. So that means that I can basically take this thing anywhere and it doesn't take up too much space in my backpack. Another thing I like about it is that it uses USB-C, and I do have a bunch of USB-C cables and hubs and docks and stuff like that. So all of that I can use with this to make this more so like a computer. Now the Apple Pencil, I was a little bit skeptical whether I'd like it or not. And using it for editing, I actually do enjoy it because it allows you to do any precision editing. So if you're scrubbing through footage, you can precisely do it with the tip of the pencil. Or if you're editing any photos, you can precisely mask off faces or skin. That way your masks are a lot cleaner than using a mouse. For the size, this thing lasts a pretty long time, definitely a whole day without me having to charge it. And the processor in it can handle pretty heavy workloads. So after spending some time with the iPad Pro, it definitely surprised me at what an iPad or a tablet could do. Putting this to a side, now that is not to say that there aren't things that I dislike about the iPad. There's actually a couple of things that I do dislike about it that I do think people should consider before buying one for themselves. Now, my first thing that kind of annoys me and I notice immediately is the Apple Pencil magnets. Sometimes it doesn't align perfectly and doesn't securely stay on. So it is possible to align it partially on there, so it looks like it's on there, but actually the magnets aren't fully aligned. So that gets kind of annoying. I thought it'd be easy and just drop it on. You do kind of have to feel for where the magnets are to make it a secure fit. Now, if you don't have the Apple Pencil, you're not gonna have to worry about it, but I do, so that's definitely something if you do decide to get the Apple Pencil, it's not as easy to put on here as you would think. Even though I got the 512 gigabyte version, I still have an external SSD that I usually do use when I'm editing any type of footage. Essentially, I load my footage onto the external drive, I plug in my external drive to whatever device I'm using, and then I edit off of there. With the iPad, you can connect a hard drive to it using a USB hub or anything like that, but the iPad doesn't allow you to edit directly off of your external storage. So what that means is, if I'm trying to edit any videos, I have to copy the videos from my drive to my iPad and then edit it on my iPad and then delete it afterwards. Now this isn't as much of a problem for me since I have the 512 gigabyte version, but if you get anything lower, I can't see it being a problem. I mean, each video that I take is almost a gig. So that, including apps, photos, that'll probably take up a lot of space on your iPad really fast. Now, iPad OS allows you to have a file management system, which means you can browse through any external drive that you connect on here. But the file management system on the iPad OS is pretty lackluster if you're comparing it to something, let's say, like a MacBook Pro. Now, you can copy files easily to and from folders, but it still isn't as intuitive as dragging and dropping, and it doesn't really look that good as well. So it suffices to get anything done in terms of copying and pasting things, but that's basically all you can do with it. Usually when you buy a hub with the iPad, it comes with an HDMI port because you can connect the iPad to an external display. Now, one of the things I don't like is that the iPad only supports a 4:3 aspect ratio. So that means if you connect it to any external monitor, you're going to see these big black bars on the side of it. I really wish this could have been a 16:9 aspect ratio that the iPad supports, but they keep it at 4:3. Also, when you're connecting to an external display with the iPad, it only supports mirroring mode, so you can't use an external display as a secondary monitor. You can only use it to mirror whatever's on the current iPad screen. So those are just some of the things that I like and dislike about the iPad after using it for about 2 weeks for all my photo and video editing. Now, as a content creator, do I think that this can beat my desktop computer? I'm gonna say no. And the reason I don't think that this can beat my desktop computer at home is because this isn't really meant to do that. Now, I bought the iPad so that way I can edit on the go as well as do any office tasks, but I didn't buy it to replace my current full computer desktop. As my MacBook Pro replacement, as an on-the-go device that can edit photos and video if I need to, check emails, write up documents, the iPad is perfect. But for my work, I would only suggest getting the iPad if you do have some kind of workstation or desktop at home that you can use in tandem with the iPad. I'm probably going to be doing it in like a 60-40 split. 60% of my work is going to be done at home on my workstation, and then 40% of it is going to be done on the iPad. So what that would look like essentially is I do most of my work on my computer at home, and then let's say if I wanted to step out or if I wanted to go somewhere and continue working, I can just grab my iPad and go and then finish the rest of the edits on there, which is awesome. So as a supplemental device, as a separate device, the iPad is amazing, but as a laptop replacement, I don't think it can quite fully replace a full-on laptop. I think that it does get you about 75% of the way there in terms of the work that it can handle as a computer replacement, but I think of it more as an add-on to my current computer, or an extension to my current computer, if you think about it that way. Now, there's some accessories that if you're doing a creative workflow that I highly suggest you getting. Essentially, these accessories make it easier to use the iPad for creating any type of content or editing. One of my favorite accessories by far is going to be this Satechi stand. I love their products because it matches Apple things well. Essentially, I use this to prop up my iPad and it gives it better viewing angles. I do use the Folio Touch as a basic keyboard. This keyboard bare minimally gets a keyboard feeling out of the iPad. If you are typing a huge amount, like let's say you're using this only to write and mark up documents, I would suggest getting an external keyboard because the Folio Touch doesn't quite give you a full keyboard experience. The next thing that I highly suggest getting is some type of USB hub. This one right here plugs directly into the iPad, and it has 2 USB-C ports, one for charging, one for data, and then it also has one USB 3.0A port. It has an SD card reader, a micro SD card reader, and an HDMI port. So something like this can definitely add a lot more ports to your iPad, which iPad currently only has one port. So if you're creative, you're definitely going to need some type of hub to use with the iPad, and I suggest getting that the second that you buy the iPad. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I have been enjoying this iPad as long as I've had it. For these past 2 weeks, I've loved just editing on it and using it as my sole editing device. I'm probably going to be using it with my computer from now on, but I was able to do all my work just from the iPad. Without further ado, I'm going to see you guys in the next video, whenever that is. Peace.